Hello everybody, James with My Breeder Supply, love my pups. Today is a really great day, really good news about French Bulldogs and testing for chocolate. So before today, well maybe yesterday, you could not run a regular test to discover whether your dog carried chocolate unless it was testable chocolate. And which there are very few of those dogs, and it's actually really a different shade of chocolate. Anyway, so the rest of us, we could never test for chocolate. The only thing that we could do is if we had a dog that was chocolate, 2 copies of chocolate, it'd have red eye glow. But if it was a carrier chocolate, then sometimes we had no idea whether that carrier gene was present. But VetGen, as of the 1st, has now got a test on their site for what they call cocoa. So the folks we're indebted to here is VetGen. There's the folks. And they are labeling this test the cocoa test. Cocoa. And so your dog has these variations. It can be big O, big C, big O. Big C, big O, which is not a chocolate dog, not chocolate. Or it can be big C, little CO, which is a chocolate carrier. Or it can be CO, little CO, which is a chocolate dog. This one has the red eye glow. So this test was not available until the beginning of February, and now it is available at VetGen. The cost of the test, I think an individual, I've never used VetGen before, I've always used animal genetics, but I'm fixing to test some dogs this next week with VetGen. So I looked at their price schedule, and it looks like it is $55. It said in one place $40, but I think it's $55 for an individual test. And then every subsequent test that you do, I think is discounted to $20. So if you do multiple tests on a dog, you can get all subsequent tests for $20. You can do a complete, let's wipe this off the board here, we got a piece of, something wipes off. I'm going to get this off for a second. We're going to talk some more about this whole thing. It's pretty interesting stuff. Good news. So VetGen is the people, and the way I looked at this was you can do a complete coat color, is $140. An individual test is, I think, $40, and every subsequent individual test is $20. So when you do this test here, you will not get back the results for cocoa. It gives you, this is the test for the big B or small b gene. This is the gene that we're calling Isabella and Lilacs. This is the testable chocolate. So that complete coat color test does not give you the, what they call the CO, which is the cocoa test. So for most of us French Bulldog folks, we're gonna have to do an individual test to find out if we've got this present. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters and how this all comes about. So, let's do the good old Punnett Square. Here's the Punnett Square. This is the square where we put a horizontal and vertical line in it. Typically we put the dad on the top and the mum on the bottom, but it doesn't matter about the sexes of the animals. So before, what we had was, if we had a dog that was a chocolate testable carrier, bred to another dog that was a testable, that's the testable chocolate carrier, then what we'd get would be a puppy that was testable chocolate, a puppy that was a testable chocolate carrier, a puppy that is a testable chocolate carrier, and a dog that had nothing to do with chocolate at all. So in a situation like that, 1/4 of our dogs would be testable chocolate, and they would be a chocolate dog. Okay, so that is with the few dogs that are out there that have testable chocolate. Great, we can do the test, it all shows up beautifully. Right. So the problem gets to be when you have a dog that you've got a French Bulldog that you know has a red eye glow test. You send the test off to Animal Genetics, UC Davis, VetGen and you ask them to test for chocolate, they always come back as big B, big B. But it has a red eye glow. So we know it's actually a chocolate dog. Furthermore, we know something about this because of the parentage. You know, it came from two dogs that both were chocolate or had carried chocolate genes. So the problem is always that we get this test back that would say this dog is not checked chocolate, but we have the red eye glow. The red eye glow, by the way, is where you go into a completely dark room, take your cell phone, put it on so the video is on, the light is on, and then take that video and you'll see this demonic red eye glow. Does not work reliably with a photo flash. It's got to be a video. And I've had lots of videos I've talked about this, but basically it come back, and I actually sold the dog here to a customer here about a year ago, and they called me up because, and I sold it as a lilac dog, which it was. It had two lilac parents, so there's no doubt about it, but they called me up very upset because they said, you sold me a dog and it came back and it tested big B, big B. So the test came back as little d blue, big B, not a chocolate. And of course a lilac dog has to be both blue, has a red eye glow. So, you know, finally got them calmed down, I think, but they realized that they hadn't been scammed by me because we don't do that kind of thing. But anyway, so now the good news is that if you have a formerly a non-testable dog, the test is going to come back as little co. And that means that that is a chocolate dog, and that's great news. And this is probably chocolate dog. Okay, so this is very good news for people out there who have a dog that's a chocolate carrier. Because previously, I'm going to give you an example here. We're going to make two dogs. We're going to make these lilacs. So this is a little d dog blue, and it is. And I'm going to write this as that, meaning that that is actually a chocolate dog with one copy of chocolate that is not testable. I know my terminology should now be CO, but we're going to call it this way. So now you've got another dog that you bred to another lilac, another dog. But was, let's say this one was. This one was a non-testable dog, but we know that it's chocolate because it has a red eye glow. So what happens when we put these two dogs together? Well, the Punnett Square on the blue, of course, gives us, get out of the way so you can see it, gives us blue dogs all the way across the board. So every dog that's paired from this mating is blue, no doubt about that. You can see it, you can test for it, great. Now here comes the issue, is that when you put these two dogs together, when you're looking at this gene, remember all genes are separate from each other. There is some interaction between the various colored genes, but most of them the answer is not, and they're all what's called recessive. It takes two copies, one from each parent, for it to be shown up, the phenotype physically shown up in the dog, versus the genotype it's there. All right, so we've got this dog here, bred to this dog here. What do we get? So what we get is half the dogs, out of 4 dogs, half the dogs are going to be chocolate carriers. Chocolate carrier. And half the dogs are going to be chocolate. Okay, very good. So we've got half and half. Right, fine. Okay, so we take those puppies and we start looking at those puppies and we do a red eye glow test. And guess what? Half of them have the red eye glow test and we know those are chocolate. No problem at all. The problem is a chocolate carrier does not show a red eye glow test. So, these dogs here, they are chocolate carriers. So you know that's true because these dogs in this situation can only be either chocolate dogs or chocolate carriers. And if you test, you're going to go get that CO cocoa test done and you'll find out they're either little co or big CO, little co. Chocolate carriers or chocolates. Okay. So that's relatively straightforward. Now here comes the problem. And we've got a lot of people out there, of which I'm one of them, who have got a dog that was bred to parents that were two dogs that were bred together that were both chocolate carriers. Okay, so now what happens? So now you look at the Punnett Square on this situation, And this is where this VetGen result is so important to us. So now with this, we've got this here and this here. Okay, so we get a non-chocolate dog and a chocolate carrier, and a chocolate carrier dog and a chocolate dog. That's what we get out of that. Okay, so 1/4 of the dogs have the red eye glow. So these ones here are good. We know what we got. We know what we got. Now, we've got 3 dogs left. Let's just pretend we had 4 dogs. We've got 3 dogs left, and on average we'd expect them, 2 of them, these 2 here, to be chocolate carriers, and this one to have nothing about chocolate at all. How can you pick the dog out? You'd like to pick this dog out. You'd like to pick this dog out. You necessarily probably maybe don't want this dog because you'd like to have the chocolate gene present. But you're presented with these 4 dogs, and you take your video out, you do a video to check their eye color in a dark room, and this one of them has a red eye glow. It's like, yes, that's the chocolate dog. The other 3, you have no clue. You don't know. You have no way of knowing which one of those dogs you'd pick out as being the dog that's either a chocolate carrier or not a chocolate at all. And the only way in the past that you could find out the results of this was to breed that dog back, these puppies back when they're adults, breed them back to a chocolate dog and see if you get chocolate puppies. If you did, then you picked up their chocolate carriers. If you didn't, then you got the totally non-chocolate dog. So the great news is today that you now do the cocoa test. So we're going to take the same example, and here it is. So the example is we have a dog. Now we're going to use the term that VetGen's come up with, cocoa. So we have two chocolate carrier dogs. So one of them is big CO, little CO, and the other one is big CO, little CO. So we do the Punnett Square on this, and we've got our big CO, little CO, our big CO, little CO, and what do we get? We get a non-chocolate dog. We get a chocolate carrier dog. We get a chocolate carrier dog, and we get a chocolate dog. This one has the red eye glow, these 2 don't, but we know, because we got the results back from VetGen, we can pick out the non-chocolate dog, versus the chocolate carrier dogs. So I hope that makes sense. I think we're about to wrap this up here. Very, very good news for us. One more interesting thing here is what happens now to all of these previously testable chocolate dogs. Well, of course, they're still valuable dogs, but the problem, and this is something that's concerned me for some time. In fact, I've been looking for an Isabella testable chocolate Frenchie. They're very expensive, and I now will not be getting one. The problem is, the great thing about the testable chocolate is you can test for it. The problem is that you cannot put a testable chocolate dog with a non-testable chocolate dog and you won't get chocolates out of it. So if you put a small c, small co, what is now the new version, the cocoa dog, with a testable chocolate dog, they are completely different genes. They don't match up together, and you don't get chocolate dogs out of that. You get dogs that are both carriers of the testable chocolate, formerly the testable chocolate, and dogs that are carriers of the cocoa, but they're not chocolate. So I think that it's kind of limited the usefulness, unfortunately, of all those testable chocolate dogs, in my opinion. Now, other people are going to disagree with that, especially the people who've got testable chocolate dogs. They're not going to agree with this. But I think that we've just, unfortunately for those people who have the testable chocolate dogs, I think their dogs are not going to be used as much. Because if you have what was formerly a non-testable, a cocoa dog, you absolutely can find out if it carries the gene, and you can then have those colours come out in future litters. The testable chocolate does not help you in that situation. So how do you get the test done? So VetGen, you can do a cheek swab. You can order cheek swabs from them. You can take dew claws. You can prick their pads and get some blood, or cut their nails short and get some blood. All of those are valid methods to get DNA samples. So cheek swabs are probably the simplest. If you do a cheek swab, then on a younger puppy that's nursing, you've got to keep it away for a month sometime to make sure that it's, on VetGen's site they say an hour. I would keep that puppy away for at least for at least half a day from mum if I was going to do a cheek swab. You can do a pad prick. So you prick the pad on their hand with a little needle and again squeeze out a little bit of blood and put it onto a Q-tip. Or you can do the dew claws when they're dew clawed. Or you can do cut their nail short, cut a toenail short, and make you bleed a little bit. So which one of these do I use? Well, for me on puppies, which is what I'm almost always DNAing puppies, what I choose is the dew claw because I remove the dew claws anyway. I've got a video on how to do that. Some people think this is a bad idea. They think you shouldn't be doing it, but for me, it's completely fine. That's for me the easiest way. The pad prick and cutting the toenail short is not an option for a puppy. Those are options for an adult. This is an option for any dog. It's probably the simplest way. Previously, I didn't think you should be doing this on a puppy, but VetGen says as long as you keep the puppy away from mum, so it doesn't have mum's milk or cells from mum's teeth in its mouth, and it's been away from that environment for a few hours, you can do a cheek swab. So that's probably the simplest way of doing all of it. Anyway, so there we go. Great news as far as I'm concerned. This is wonderful. I think VetGen is they spent a lot of time and effort and money and research getting this done. They genomed some dogs that they knew were chocolate, which weren't testable. They did a complete genome, decipher the entire genome of these dogs to discover where that locus of that gene is so they could test for it. So hats off to VetGen. I mean, this is a great day for us folks. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you think we've got things wrong, especially with this, which is kind of new stuff, then explain to us why we've got it wrong and we'll address that. If we think you're idiots, then tell us that too. And please subscribe to us. And remember, the most important thing of all is be nice to your dogs. Bye, everybody.